Hello, everyone. I'm John, a former forensic officer. Over the years, I have collected many strange stories from police officers, and I share them on this channel. Today, I will tell you an especially terrifying story, so stay tuned until the end. Today's story is the terrifying reality reflected in the cursed mirror. This is a story about a police officer's encounter with a mysterious phenomenon involving a haunted mirror. Through this story, I hope to deliver an experience that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Please note that while I refer to my old stories and diaries, I've added a bit of embellishment to create a cohesive narrative. I also want to express my heartfelt gratitude to my 2 grandchildren who helped produce this video. Let's start the story. One day, a police officer discovered a strange mirror in an abandoned house. What secrets does this mirror hold? Enjoy the story. The setting of the story is a small town in America. This town has numerous old legends, especially about an old mansion that had become a ruin. The locals called it the cursed house and avoided it. The police were constantly receiving reports about this mansion and were busy dealing with them daily. The protagonist, Stephen Johnson, is a veteran police officer who has been working in this town for many years. Known for his calm demeanor, he handles any situation without panic. However, one night, while patrolling the cursed house, he would face the most terrifying experience of his life. That night, Stephen was inspecting the mansion as part of his usual patrol. The inside of the house was dilapidated, and the sound of curtains swaying in the wind accentuated the eerie silence. When he entered the living room on the first floor, he saw an old mirror. Strangely, the mirror shone as if it were new, contrasting sharply with the surrounding decay. As Stephen approached the old mirror, he suddenly felt the temperature in the room drop. A chill ran down his spine, and he could see his breath in the air. He cautiously began to examine the mirror. At that moment, the surface of the mirror fogged up, as if someone had breathed on it from the inside. Startled, Stephen stepped back and noticed a different shadow reflected in the mirror. It was the figure of a woman dressed in old clothes. Her eyes seemed to be staring intently at Stephen. Feeling scared, Stephen immediately called for backup on the radio, and his colleague Jack arrived. Jack listened to Stephen's story and looked at the mirror with skepticism, but saw nothing unusual. Stephen began to doubt whether what he saw was real, but he maintained his composure in front of Jack. The two decided to take the mirror back to the police station as a precaution. Back at the station, Stephen couldn't take his eyes off the mirror. They placed it in a room for safekeeping, and Stephen went home for the night. However, the next morning, when he returned to the station, he noticed strange marks around the mirror. The room had been ransacked, and the mirror was covered with numerous handprints, both on the outside and the inside. Stephen felt the chill again, and his anxiety grew. Determined to solve this mystery, Stephen began researching the legends and rumors surrounding the old mirror. In his investigation of local history, he found records that the mirror had belonged to the mansion's mistress, who had died under mysterious circumstances. Stephen started to suspect that the mirror was cursed by her vengeful spirit. Stephen continued his research late into the night. One night, as he was staring at the mirror in the station, the surface fogged up again. This time, the face of the woman he had seen before slowly emerged from the mist. Her eyes were filled with hatred, as if she was trying to convey something to Stephen. At that moment, the mirror shook violently, and strange noises echoed throughout the room. Stephen, gripped by fear, couldn't move and just stood there. The next morning, Stephen told Jack about the previous night's events. Initially, Jack was skeptical, but seeing Stephen's serious expression, he realized the gravity of the situation. They went back to the room with the mirror to check the situation. When they entered, the mirror was standing quietly as if nothing had happened. However, as Jack approached it, the mirror suddenly shattered, and shards flew everywhere. The two were shocked but convinced that this was no coincidence. While cleaning up the shards, Stephen found something stuck to the back of the mirror. It was an old photograph of the mansion's mistress and her family. On the back of the photo, faint letters spelled out "Help me." Stephen pondered the meaning of this message, but couldn't find an immediate answer. Still, he felt that this discovery was the key to breaking the mirror's curse. Stephen and Jack began further investigating the mansion's history and its inhabitants. They combed through local libraries and old records, gathering information about the period during which the mistress had died under suspicious circumstances. It became clear that her death involved hidden truths and deep family tragedies. Stephen felt that the mirror symbolized her resentment, and that something was needed to free her soul. Through their investigation, Stephen and Jack discovered that the mistress, Elizabeth, had suffered from abuse by her husband and had ultimately taken her own life. However, her death was covered up and treated as an accident by her husband. Elizabeth's soul had been trapped by this injustice. Seeking help through the mirror, Stephen felt that to release Elizabeth's spirit, he needed to understand her suffering and bring justice to her. He found her diary and letters, detailing her despair and suffering at the hands of her husband. With this information, Stephen set out to restore her honor. Stephen decided to speak directly to Elizabeth's spirit. He stood before the mirror and called her name, promising to bring justice for her suffering. At that moment, the mirror fogged up again, and Elizabeth's face appeared. She smiled and seemed to express gratitude. Suddenly, her image vanished, and the room returned to silence. Stephen was convinced that her spirit had been freed. After Elizabeth's spirit was released, the mirror returned to being just an old mirror. Stephen used this as evidence to publicize the truth about Elizabeth's death. This restored her honor and allowed her spirit to rest in peace. Stephen also reaffirmed his mission as a police officer and his compassion as a human being through this experience. Following the release of Elizabeth's spirit, Stephen reported all the evidence regarding her death to the police authorities. This led to the official revelation of the truth about her death and the restoration of her honor. Additionally, this incident raised awareness about domestic violence and abuse within the police force, leading to the establishment of new support systems. Stephen was satisfied with this outcome and wished for Elizabeth's soul to rest in peace. Through this experience, Stephen learned that behind even the strangest and most terrifying experiences, there are always human emotions and stories. He reaffirmed the importance of human dignity and justice through his interaction with Elizabeth's spirit. He realized that it is crucial not only to feel fear, but to understand its source and resolve it. Through this story, I want to convey an important message to the viewers. Even the smallest anomalies may have reasons or backgrounds. It is essential not to ignore the discomfort or anxiety you feel in daily life, but to consider its meaning. Moreover, when you feel that someone is seeking help, have the courage to listen and extend a helping hand. In the next episode, we will deliver another mysterious story. I deeply appreciate my 2 grandchildren for their help in producing this video. Without them, I could not bring such wonderful stories to you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave advice and supportive messages for them in the comments section. Finally, please like and subscribe, and share your mysterious experiences in the comments section. Until next time, see you again.